to Commissioner Klatt.
All right, so I'd like to call the April 2020 Ad Hoc Committee meeting to order. Will the recording secretary please take roll?
Johanna Harwick,
Here.
Bonnie Klatt,
Present.
Andrew Wall.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The item before us today is item 1A, interview, recommendation, and appointment of members for the Committee on Accreditation. Our task today is to recommend to the full commission one individual to fill the one K-12 vacancy on the Committee on Accreditation and two individuals to fill the two higher education vacancies on the Committee on Accreditation, each of whom would be appointed for a 4-year term from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2025. In addition, we may, if we wish, recommend appointment of any of the applicants to the alternate pool to serve in the event of a vacancy on COA. Cheryl Hickey and Aaron Sullivan will take us through the process. Ms. Hickey, will you please begin?
Certainly. And first, thank you all for agreeing to be part of this ad hoc committee. I know it's an additional time out of your schedule, so we really appreciate it. Today, you'll be interviewing finalists to fill the 3 vacancies on the Committee on Accreditation. And before you begin your first interview, we have some information we'd like to share with you about the process to make sure it's all clear. We want to tell you that our first applicant or the first interviewee, Dr. Taylor, has a time commitment. So we wanted to make sure that we got him in first. So I will go through a little bit of the process as well as Aaron, and then we can circle back to, after his interview, to a couple of things we want to make clear about the balance of the COA. Each year, the commission interviews and appoints 3 individuals to serve new or continuing 4-year terms that begin in July 1 of every year, and the membership of the COA is equally balanced, 6 K-12 practitioners and 6 from the higher education community. The leadership is also equally balanced, where we always have 1 co-chair from higher education and 1 from K-12. The current list of the COA members is for you on pages 1 and 2 of the agenda item. And this year, the vacancies include 1 member from K-12 and 2 from the higher education community whose terms are up on June 30th. The nomination process began after Thanksgiving and was closed in February. And throughout that time, we announced the vacancies in the PSD e-news every week, and on the commission's website. We had 7 applicants for the 3 positions. In concert with the process laid out in the framework, a nominating panel of 4 individuals reviewed the applications. The nominating panel is actually in EdCode, and it's an interesting little structure, but it is comprised of individuals who are appointed by the COA chair and by the commission chair for the sole purpose of reviewing these applications. So they look at the applications and they determine and set forth 2 individuals for you all to interview for each 1 vacancy. The finalists you are interviewing today are those put forward by this nominating committee. In addition to recommending the appointment of the 3 individuals, as Commissioner Klatt had said, you may also recommend appointments to any of the applicants to the alternate pool. And this pool is used by the executive director in the event of an unscheduled vacancy. It's helpful when we have a healthy size alternate pool because the director can then consider any issues of balance because we can't anticipate those vacancies when she or he is appointing the individual to serve out those unexpected vacancies. And the current alternate pool we've listed for you on page 2 of the item. And Aaron?
Yeah, thank you. So we have provided you with 5 broad questions to ask each applicant. If you need to, you may ask for clarification on the responses, but in an effort to be fair to all candidates, we do ask that you, yeah?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I see that our first, at least I'm seeing our first interviewee, Mr. Dr. Taylor, on my screen. And I just wanted to make sure that was as it should be for this part of the introduction.
I think it's probably just fine because it's just process information that we're starting. So we should.
Okay, thanks.
So in relation to the questions that we provided to you, in an effort to be, so You may ask for clarification on candidate responses to those 5 questions, but in order to be fair to all the candidates, we do ask that you limit asking additional questions beyond these 5, unless it's something that you're then prepared to ask all the candidates. The questions were emailed to all of the applicants this morning to give them some time to organize their thoughts. And we've allotted 15 minutes for each candidate to respond to the questions. We will need a few minutes between each interviewee to let the next one know that we're ready for them and to make sure their technology is working. At the end of all of the interviews, you will deliberate and vote to recommend to the full commission 3 individuals for appointment to the COA, should you find the candidates to be acceptable. As Cheryl mentioned, you may also appoint any of the applicants to the alternate pool from which the executive director can pull to fill an unexpected vacancy. So with our first applicant here, let's go to the first interview. And then after that, I will continue with some considerations for balance in the membership of the COA before we continue with the rest of the interviews.
So you have the 5 questions, and you can do a little round robin if that works for you all.
Okay, if we're ready to get started, then maybe we should do that first and get that out of the way. So does anyone want to take question 1? Okay, I see Commissioner Wall. And
I'll do number 2.
Okay, Commissioner Hartwig, and then I'll take 3. And then do we want to just keep going around? Commissioner Wall, are you okay to take 4?
Yep.
Okay, and Commissioner Hartwig, then we'll have 5.
Yes, thank you.
All right, then I think, are we ready to begin then? Okay. Hello, Dr. Taylor. I am Commissioner Bonnie Klatt. Joining me on the interview panel are Commissioners Johanna Hartwig and Andrew Wall. Thank you for applying to be a member of the COA. We're going to ask you a few questions, and at the end of the interview, you'll have an opportunity to ask us any questions you may have. As a reminder, we do have, we're limited to 15 minutes for each candidate, and we have 5 questions, as you heard. So just if you want to keep that in mind in your responses. So let's see, we'll start with Commissioner Wall with the first question.
Dr. Taylor, could you please briefly summarize your professional experiences in education and educator preparation in California? We're interested in your teaching experiences, your work with diverse K-12 students or credential candidates, and or issues that you are especially focused on in your work.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to interview and for your service to the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. My experience in teaching and teacher education in the state of California has been at Cal Poly. I've been here for 22 years. I came here from the University of Northern Colorado. And since I've been here, I arrived in the fall of 1999. I started in physical education, teacher education, training PE teachers at the undergraduate level and then in our credential program. After a fashion, enrollment dwindled and the program got closed, and to make myself useful, I became department chair in kinesiology. And then I became director in the School of Education 6 years ago. So I'm just finishing my 6th year as director in the School of Education. I oversee 4 master's programs and 6 Ctc accredited programs, and work closely with program coordinators in each of those programs, students and faculty. And that's really my California experience in a nutshell. Oh, sorry, I didn't address diverse students. I have a particular commitment to social justice education, as do my faculty. It's central to our mission and vision. We've worked very hard to diversify our programs. The School of Education is very proud now to be home to 2 of the top 3 most diverse programs at Cal Poly. which is an accomplishment because Cal Poly it is largely a white institution. We have struggled to diversify. We're working hard to do that. And we have enjoyed some success within the School of Ed. And that's been a big part of our push here in SOE.
Great, thank you. Dr. Taylor, could you please summarize your involvement in accreditation activities in general and share with us any experiences you have with the Commission's accreditation system? Thanks.
Definitely. I was in charge of state and NCATE accreditation when I was at the University of Northern Colorado for the physical education part of things, worked very closely with the College of Education there. So that's an accreditation experience that I had over in a 6-year period, not in California, but that provided a foundation then for me coming to California at Cal Poly, worked in the Ctc accredited single subject program here, and was not involved in leadership of that, but was involved as a faculty member. I trained to be an assessor of the first TPAs, the Teaching Performance Assessments, when they came out in California. And then, again, did that until the program closed in physical education. And now, as the director of the School of Education, I am responsible for Cal Poly's Ctc accreditation. So I oversee the faculty and staff working to maintain our accreditation, and that's sort of a daily practice. And we recently had our 7-year site visit, and we were fully accredited. So it was very humbling, rewarding, and gratifying.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, may I just ask a quick follow-up?
Please.
From your letter, are you also serving on the Committee on Accreditation now as an interim?
Yes, I was an alternate, and then Dean Jose Luis Alvarado, who was Dean of Education at CSU Monterey Bay, stepped down, and I was asked to fill his position and finish his term. So that term is coming to an end, and I'm up for reappointment, I guess, re-election, whatever it is called.
Wonderful, thank you. How much of the term was it that you were filling out?
It was just a year.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you. So the third question, as a member of the Committee on Accreditation, what do you think are the most important things to look for in making an accreditation decision for an institution?
Obviously, you're looking at alignment with standards, but I think also you're looking for evidence that the institution has a sustained and ongoing commitment to quality and accreditation, that they're not just putting together a document to get through their site visit, but that it is a sustained effort. And to a degree as well, and I very much understand this from the experiences I've had with my programs, to ensure that the support for that accreditation is throughout the institution. It needs to be the whole institution that's being accredited, not just one or two exceptionally hard workers putting together the materials. You know, accreditation can provide support to those undoubtedly particularly hardworking individuals that our various institutions are blessed with. And in providing accreditation and talking to the importance of and the need for institution-wide support to accreditation, we can help those individuals and support those individuals by making sure that they're not working alone. Looking really, I would class that as looking at the integrity of the submission to make sure that it's a comprehensive ongoing commitment to accreditation and to quality.
Back to me. What do you see as the biggest challenges for the Commission's accreditation system in the coming few years? And how can you, if you're appointed as a member of the COA, assist the Commission in addressing these challenges?
Well, I think some of the challenges facing the COA are similar to the challenges that review teams will face. And I think that will be issues around remote placements and supervision, perhaps, because I think we're going to have to deal with that for a little while longer. Issues that emerge from in the wake of the pandemic, really, and from the work that we've been doing while everybody's been working remotely. Issues perhaps around individual transition plans and elements of those plans, and who provides support to the teachers, the IHEs that trained them, or the induction programs that they're in, and making sure that programs are really attuned to the success of our teachers, which is what a robust credentialing process should be about. So I think there will be challenges there. I think it's challenging to review and do the work of the Committee on Accreditation when all of the people on the committee are remote. I think that has been a particular challenge with the term that I'm completing. If I'm elected, I look forward to being able to actually travel to the Commission and sit down with the other folks in the room and work more as a team rather than working remotely and individually, because that definitely provides a challenge to the COA, and will do until such time as we're all back face to face.
Thank you. I just have one final question, which is there anything else that you would like to add that you think would be important for us to know as we consider your application for the COA?
Sure, yes, thank you. As a professional, I'm driven by a desire to promote social justice and sustainability through education and community engagement. The COA and continuing my work as part of the COA would provide me an opportunity to contribute to the field and share my passion for social justice education. I'm a firm believer in the CSU. I'm proud to have been a member of the CSU for the past 22 years, and I would look to be an ambassador for the CSU as part of the committee, and I think I have a lot to offer from that perspective. I meet with deans and directors of other programs in all of the CSUs and can bring support from that, and also inform all of those institutions through things that I learn as part of the COA. Obviously, there's a lot of information and it's confidential, and it's more sort of just the big picture sharing of trends and issues. And so I think it's really important for the CSU as this huge 23 campus network to be thoroughly engaged in supporting the work of the CTC. And I would be committed to my role in supporting the CTC through working as part of the COA.
Thank you. Dr. Taylor, do you have any questions for the panel?
No, thank you. I realize everybody's pushed for time, myself included. And having worked on the COA, filling out Jose Luis's term, I feel like I'm just I'm just getting to the point where I think I've learned the job, learned the ropes. It takes a little while to get used to it, and I picked up some strategies to do that. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your service to the CTC.
Thank you, and thank you for your time that you've already served, and for your willingness to be willing to continue. All right, thank you. So,
Great.
Are we? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready? I know you said we would need a few minutes in between, so I guess just let us know, or are we ready?
I think Erin's got a couple things she wants to mention.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to go back. We did this a little bit out of order, but thank you so much for being flexible with Mr. Taylor's time limitations. But I just wanted to go back a little bit, as I mentioned, and talk a little bit about balance on the COA as you have your next set of interviews, and then consider who to potentially appoint at the end. So the issue of balance and representation on the COA is addressed in your item on pages 3 and 4. But just as a reminder, no COA member will serve as basically a representative of their employer, but they serve because of their expertise in California education and educator preparation. With that said, we do have balance issues that we like to keep in mind. For instance, geographic representation, gender, racial and ethnic balance, segmental representation, size of the institution, and public versus private institutions, just, sort of among other things. The current members of the COA are listed on pages 1 and 2 of your item. And of particular note, I just would like to mention a few things for your consideration. First, IHE sector balance. Currently, the COA has representation from all systems of higher education. The 2 impending vacancies are from a CSU and a private post-secondary institution. So if one of those vacancies is not filled by a CSU representative, CSU would not have representation on the committee. So it's just something to consider. Second, gender balance. Of the 9 remaining COA members, 3 are male and 6 are female. Of the 9 remaining COA members, 8 are from Southern California. And finally, 2 of the applicants are currently members of the COA. One you just heard from, the other one is a current co-chair. And both of these individuals were originally appointed through the alternate poll and served out a term that was started by another person. But they are both eligible for reappointment. And with that, Cheryl and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have about anything that we've covered.
We can get the next interviewee on if you are ready.
I have not seen any questions from anyone.
Okay. Michelle, can you let us know when we get the next person in?
Yeah, just quickly procedural.
Oh, sure.
So will we convene after this to make recommendations after we're completed with the, okay.
Mm-hmm. And you are also, while Michelle's doing that, are also seeing David DeGear's name here. He is our new director in Professional Services Division. So hopefully you'll get a chance to talk with him soon.
Hi, everybody.
Hello,
David.
There.
Right. Looks like we have Mary Beth Murray on.
all right. Hello, Dr. Murray. I am Commissioner Bonnie Klatt. Joining me on the interview panel are Commissioners Johanna Hartwig and Andrew Wall. Thank you for applying to be a member. Thank you for applying to be a member of the COA. We're going to ask you a few questions, and at the end of the interview, you'll have an opportunity to ask us any questions you might have. We are limited to 15 minutes for each interview, and we have 5 questions. So just something to keep in mind in your responses. Just to make sure we have time for all 5 questions. So I think we'll get started with Commissioner Wall asking the first question. Welcome.
Hello, Dr. Murray. First question is, please briefly summarize your professional experiences in education and educator preparation in California. We are interested in your teaching experiences, your work with diverse K-12 students or credentialed candidates, and or issues that are especially focused on in your work.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, it's nice to see all of you. So I have been in education for more than 25 years. I tried to do the math just recently and it said 32, but I didn't want to believe that. So I'm just going with 25 right now. I have been I started out as an instructional assistant, then I became a teacher, then I became an administrator, a program specialist, many different things, mostly in the city of Long Beach for Long Beach Unified School District. And majority of my work has been servicing students that are underserved in minority communities. We are a large urban school district, and so that is the population of the majority of our students. Currently, I'm serving as a special education administrator where I work with teachers in the field and prepare them to meet the challenges and the needs of the students these diverse students that they have in their classrooms. My experience with my experience with teacher credentialing, I was just recently serving as a director of clinical practice for a local community college. Well, not a community college, but a small college here in California. And I was in that position as director of clinical practice. I had many, many responsibilities, including working with credential analysts to make sure that my candidates, the students that were candidates for credentialing, were meeting all their requirements for that program. I would conduct information sessions for the students that were coming in. I had to recruit and supervise college supervisors who would in turn supervise those students that were going out into the field and working on their credentials. My work here right now in Long Beach is looking at not only just meeting the needs of the children with special needs and the disproportionate, we're looking at the significant disproportionality of children in special education, especially in our emotional disturbed programs, and trying to figure out a way to rectify that so that we don't have such a large disproportionate number of children in those programs. I also, in my work as a director of clinical practice, I did some work with the Cal TPAs as far as preparing the students for them. I also was a scorer for Cal TPA as well as for Cal APA. And while I was director of clinical practice, I did a lot of embedding. I had to teach a course at the college as well, the fieldwork course. And I had to embed the Cal TPAs into the curriculum that I was teaching those students. So I had many duties there.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please summarize your involvement in accreditation activities in general and share with us any experiences you have with the Commission's accreditation system? Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm happy to talk about this because I am recently I just finished my first site team member visit for the Board of Institutional Review. So I have served in all of those capacities on that board. I've been an initial program reviewer. I've also done just program review. I've done the common standards review, and then just recently I did the site visit. So that was really a great experience for me and was what really prompted me to apply for this position. I just found it really, really interesting to read the work of what these colleges were doing. And then that final opportunity to go out to the site, well, actually do the site review online, was really a great learning experience for me. I'm also, as I mentioned before, I scored the Cal TPAs and the Cal APAs. And what else have I done? I can't remember anything else that I've done with the commission, but my work with the commission has been really, really fun.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. As a member of the Committee on Accreditation, what do you think are the most important things to look for in making an accreditation decision for an institution?
So, you know, I read this pamphlet while I was reading the accreditation framework. And so thinking about that, I thought that, of course, we want to make sure that the education and the educator preparation programs are providing a rigorous education program for these students, right? Where they're getting hands-on experience and they're getting experience learning what it is that they're going to need to use out in the field once they finally do get out there. I think that assessment is key. Assessment of the candidates is really, really important. And how these programs look at what the performance expectations they have and how it aligns with their programs and then how it aligns with the commission's requirements. And then I think also having a way of gauging or looking at how one college is successful or has been successful, kind of like the peer review process and how they look at their documentation, how we look at different colleges, different entities look at their documentation and how they prepare their students in comparison with others and how they can improve those systems if they need to be improved. I think that's it for me on that one, sorry.
Thank you.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for the Commission's accreditation system in the coming few years, and how can you, if you're appointed as a member of the COA, assist the Commission in addressing these challenges?
So when I thought about this question, for me, I think the biggest challenges are going to be the process of accreditation in light of COVID-19 and how things are going to have to be reassessed or revised or even re-envisioned so that students are still able to meet the requirements and that the Commission is able to kind of look at the requirements that are going to be necessary and changes that might need to be made in light of COVID-19. And I think how I can contribute to that is my current work in the field right now, my work with the district, how we're looking at getting not only students back on campus, but how we're getting our new recruits back into the classroom and getting them, acclimated with teaching in this different era. So I think having the opportunity to be out in the field and be actually in a district as large as the one that I am in and having seeing this practice put into place. We've done so much planning to have students return, and a lot of that planning has been looking at how teachers are going to be able to meet the needs of the students that they're getting. So I think that's going to be one issue that's going to be huge. And then I don't know if you guys I don't know if you're familiar at all, but I was recently reading something about the Department of Ed changing accreditation to go from regional to national and allowing different accreditation agencies to not just accreditate programs regionally, but also nationally. Have any of you read about that recently? It's very interesting. So I think that, I don't know if that will affect California in any way, but I think it's definitely something that should probably be on our radar, and anybody that's preparing program and working with programs that prepare teachers, I think that's something that they should be aware of. Oh, okay.
Thank you. One final question, which is there anything else you would like to add that you think would be important for us to know as we consider your application for the COA?
Well, just a little bit about me. I think that it's important that you know that education is my life's work, and it's my passion, and it's what I love doing. I've had an opportunity to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And so I think that this is a part of my growth. If I were appointed here, it would just be a natural progression for me. And it definitely be something that I'd be honored to do, to serve as a committee member.
Thank you. And Dr. Murray, do you have any questions for the panel?
You know, I don't. How long does this process take? Other than this question, how long does this process take?
Might divert or staff. Does staff want to answer that for us?
Sure. So the ad hoc committee here today will discuss and determine their recommendation to the full committee, the full commission, and the full commission will actually vote on Friday.
I see. Okay, that's pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for seeing me. I didn't take the full 15 minutes, I don't think, but if you don't have any other questions for me, I'm just very appreciative of this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Dr. Murray, and we appreciate you and your willingness to serve. So thank you very much for all you're doing in Long Beach, and again for your willingness to apply for the committee. So
of course. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Elle is hooking up the next person.
Okay.
Jason Lee is next. He should be joining shortly.
Okay. I don't know. Is someone, it sounds like we're getting some
I hear it too.
input from like radio or TV or something, maybe. Okay, it stopped.
Here's Jason.
Hey, how are you?
Great. You can hear us okay?
Yeah, I can.
All right. Hello, Mr. Lee. I'm Commissioner Bonnie Klatt, and joining me on the interview panel are Commissioners Johanna Hartwig and Andrew Wall. So welcome. Thank you for applying to be a member of the COA. We are going to ask you a few questions, and at the end of the interview, you'll have an opportunity to ask us any questions you might have. We are we're limited to 15 minutes per candidate. We have 5 questions, and so just something to keep in mind as far as the length of your responses go, just to make sure we can get to each of the questions. So I think we're going to start with a question from Commissioner Wall.
Hello, Mr. Leah. Please briefly summarize your professional experiences in education and educator preparation in California. We're interested in your teaching experiences, your work with diverse K-12 students or credential candidates, and or issues that you are especially focused on in your work.
Okay, thank you. This is my 26th year in public education, primarily in the Sonoma County area. I was a single subject social studies teacher. I was an assistant principal for a year. I was a site administrator, site principal for 13 years at the secondary level. I was assistant superintendent of human resources for Santa Rosa City Schools for 4 years, which is a district of about 16,000 students, 2,700 employees. And I'm currently the executive director of North Coast School of Ed out of the Sonoma County Office of Education. Since I've been in education, I've really been focused on serving underserved students in my community. I was a lead for that as a principal in Santa Rosa City Schools. It's just part of who I am. I truly believe that public education is one of the last kind of semblance of egalitarianism that exists in our society. And so I really am somebody who works for the underrepresented and feel that equity and social justice is kind of a key to who I am as an educational leader. So I'm currently working on forming the Latino Educators Network in Sonoma County, where I work with superintendents to identify paraprofessionals, instructional assistants, other school employees to become interested in becoming teachers. I'm working with Sonoma State and Santa Rosa Junior College to start a kind of a grow your own pipeline where we're working to get students, Latinx students and other students of color interested in careers in education and trying to set up programs to establish some experiences as they work their way through high school to junior college and on to secondary, either Sonoma State or other CSUs. So public education is very important to me. My wife's a 6th grade teacher. My oldest daughter just is working on teaching chemistry at the junior college. And so I come from a group of teachers and we understand how important it is to provide quality education to all students in California. So.
Thank you very much. Could you please summarize your involvement in accreditation activities in general and share with us any experiences you have with the Commission's accreditation system?
Yeah, of course. This is my 3rd year involved in North Coast School of Education. Like I said before that, I was with a K-12 school district. And, the HR side gave me a glimpse into what different programs are out there, primarily the teacher intern program that we have at Sonoma County Office of Education. And I came into the executive director position 6 months before a site visit. So I had a crash course in preparing for that, and it really was eye-opening and program changing. And I imagine that's why it's there to make sure not only are we providing quality programs, but we're actually looking to always continuously improve. And since that started, I've been applying and looking to be a program reviewer. I've done some initial program reviews. I've also gone out through IVR training. I just did my first full site visit of a county office program, which was, again, all of the work I've done with CTC and around program reviews, and even I'm an assessor for the Cal APA performance assessment. I've gone through training. That has been some amazing professional development, and certainly is something that I would share with other principals and encourage them to be involved with, because it changes your perspective. But it certainly has benefited me as a program director, and really it's been great professional development. And so anytime, and that's just kind of who I am, I'm a lifelong learner. So anytime I get into something, I want to be all in it. I want to learn it. I want to absorb it. I want to contribute to it. And so I really want to be a part of the process. So not only can I learn about the process and learn from other programs, but also improve my own program. Every time I've done any kind of review, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. It's a new approach. It's a glimpse into other people's successes. And we know in education, we beg, borrow, and steal when we see these ideas. And so that's just kind of continued as I've gone into this role as executive director of a program.
Thank you.
All right, the third question. As a member of the Committee on Accreditation, what do you think are the most important things to look for in making an accreditation decision for an institution?
Well, I think there's the foundational level. You want to make sure that programs, whatever the program you're evaluating or we're looking at as a commission, is appropriately applying the standards and making sure that those standards are integrated in a way that's relevant to those who participate. I think that, and I'll try not to take too much time on this soapbox here, but I think the idea of standards, whether it was a classroom, if you grew up in education in the No Child Left Behind era, the standard, that idea of standards is kind of like this, it creates a little of anxiety in your mind. And through actually the last accreditation process and the work I've been doing now as an executive of a program, and we have be a teacher, we have teacher induction, prelim admin, and admin induction, and CTE and adult ed. We have quite a few programs. Really has grown my appreciation of standards and really making them relevant so that the adult learners in our programs can see why they're there and really make connections in their regular life. So that's that foundational level. And I take it to the kind of my more personal philosophical level. I think it's really important in California that we have candidates in all of these programs that are being prepared to do the equity work needed to close the achievement gap in our state. To me, that's just something that's always been a part of who I am as an educator. And I feel that programs need to, be a part of that work. It's important work. And that's why when the Cal APA came out, I was excited to see that equity lens and how that's woven through the entire performance assessment. And I think it's really woven through a lot of the standards. And I see programs all over the state really becoming champions of that equity work. So I think that's important. And in addition to that, I think is really programs that, regardless of the program, is creating reflective educators, really embedding that idea of being self-reflective as professionals to improve our practice, and really creating this idea that truly continuous improvement involves serious self-reflection, intentional, structured self-reflection that creates lifelong learners. So, applying the standards appropriately and making sure that they're meeting all of the requirements outlined as the foundation. And then we go beyond that with the work of equity and creating continuous lifelong learners.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for the Commission's accreditation system in the coming few years, and how can you, if you're appointed as a member of the COA, assist the Commission in addressing these challenges?
Well, isn't it interesting to think about the context of this question a year and a half ago? What the answers might have been. I just finished my doctorate, and I started at I got my research topic approved June 2019, and it was how superintendents led during crisis, focusing on 4 behavioral elements out of Doris Kearns Goodwin work. I had no idea the pandemic would be the primary focus. And through my research, that's been the lens that every leader in the state has been looking at their work through. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the Commission supports programs as they continue to support candidates dealing with the impact of the pandemic. I think we still have a lot of unknowns, and I think there's been some, obviously the achievement gap is perhaps been exacerbated. We don't know yet. It's going to be difficult to see because we still have districts around the state that don't even have in-person learning. So it's going to be interesting to see how do we as a commission, or how does the Commission then support programs as they help candidates kind of wrap their minds around the work that now lays ahead, and how do programs prepare candidates for that work, whether it's intern programs, induction, or admin programs. How are we really kind of bringing that into the conversation so that there's a broader context of the impact of the pandemic? And I think something else that's really important is staying connected to the districts, the front line, the trenches, or whatever analogy you want to use is really important. I think that, and when I left the school district, went to the county office, my biggest fear was not being connected. So it's been an intentional part of my work, even during the pandemic, to stay really connected to schools. We have 40 school districts in Sonoma County, and I make a point to really connect with teachers and people in our program all over the county so that I'm hearing and feeling what they are hearing and feeling on a daily basis. And I think that's an important thing to do as a commission, being in Sacramento and, being surrounded by all of the government, but at the same time being surrounded by so many amazing school districts in that area. Just how do we as a group of people who are making decisions around programs really stay connected and relevant to the relevant work being done in the classroom with kids or with, teachers on school sites. So that would be something that I think always has been a challenge and will always continue to be a challenge for the Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one final question, which is there anything additional that you would like to share with us about yourself that you think we should consider in terms of your application for the COA?
I just, again, would say that I'm committed to continuous improvement and improving education, and I'm going to bring my lens of social justice and equity to everything I do. And I'm going to challenge things that I see that aren't really working in the best interests of kids, because that's why we do everything we do. And so I'm committed to that, and it's permeates every piece of everything I do in my professional life and in my personal life. My family are educators, and so we're committed to that. And I'm also somebody that is good at facilitating difficult conversations. I think when we get into situations and we have people from a variety of backgrounds, it's an opportunity, but can also be difficult. And so it's important to be able to have those skills to build some consensus and really help people see every side that is presented of an issue, and really reaching a point to, make sure that we're focused on kind of why we're doing what we're doing and what is the impact of decisions we make beyond the room in which they're made. And so I do that at the county office all the time. I think we have folks that are, far removed, and I say, hey, well, let's bring this decision back down to, 1211 Steel Lane at Steel Lane Elementary School. What is that going to look like, and how is that going to help kids? And so I would do that too for the commission.
So I should say, Dr. Lee, do you have
I told people, unless I get a prescription pad, I'm going to put Jason Lee, EDD, not Dr. Lee. So
all right. Okay, then Mr. Lee, do you have any questions for the panel?
No, I just hope, I appreciate the time, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I know that, you really look to, and I would hope that you would really look to build a diverse group of people that represent districts from the state, and also represent county offices. I think that's an important perspective. And I also know that I want you to find the best person that's going to fill that role. And if that's someone else, fantastic, because I know it's hard work and it's voluntary and there's a lot of reading involved and there's a lot of things that are required of this position I'm willing to do. But if there's someone else that is going to do the work better than me, then wholeheartedly recommend that person too, because it's such important work that we're doing right now in education in California, and I want the best people doing the work. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope that you are all safe and sane, and the latter is maybe more important than these days than the former, but it's and I hope to some point see people in person. It's just it's a reality we're all facing. And I was hoping that you had picked UCLA in their bid to make it to the Final Four. I didn't pick them because I didn't even think, I think the Pac-12 got no respect in that tournament, and they showed that they should. Especially UCLA, that was pretty good.
Yeah. It's. I'm going to leave that alone for right now. But yeah, my brother went to USC, and so we have some.
Yeah, I'm public school all the way, so good for you.
All right.
Yeah, but you do have to give a little bit of love to the Stanford women's, right?
Oh, of course. I have 4 daughters, and so 2 of which played college basketball. So always I've been a Tara Vanderveer fan forever, and that's pretty awesome. It starts with public school, and then when it gets to California, I may not publicly admit this, but I would root for USC over other schools out of the state. But
okay, fair enough. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your service to education, and for your willingness to apply for this. Like you said, it is voluntary, and it's a lot of work. So I appreciate, on behalf of the commission, I want to express our appreciation for your application and willingness.
Yeah, and the other thing I found out quick, and I'll let you go, is that I realized I wouldn't be able to do site visits anymore. If I came on the commission, I was like torn. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, because I enjoy that so much. It's really fun. So, and you learn so much. But I imagine on the commission, you learn a lot as well. So thank you all very much. Take care.
Thank you, and stay safe as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, then I think that brings us to our 4th candidate when we're ready.
Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's see. Let me get my notes together here. So, give me just one second. I have a lot of tabs up, and all of a sudden, I kind of lost where I was. There we go. There we go. Well, thank you for being patient through that little glitch. And welcome, Ms. Arnak. And I am Commissioner Bonnie Klatt. Joining me on the interview panel are Commissioners Johanna Hartwig and Andrew Wall. Thank you for applying to be a member of the COA. We are going to ask you a few questions, and at the end of the interview, you'll have an opportunity to ask us any questions you might have. We have a total of 15 minutes to conduct the interview. We have 5 questions to ask. So just reminding you that, if you spend too much time on any one answer, we want to make sure we can get to all 5 questions. So I think we're going to begin with Commissioner Wall.
Good afternoon. Could you briefly summarize your professional experiences in education and educator preparation in California? We're interested in your teaching experiences, your work with diverse K-12 students or credential candidates, and/or issues that you are especially focused on in your work.
Sure. Well, I grew up in California, and I've always been involved with California education. I was kind of handpicked by my teachers to help out, and I have served in many roles, from TA, reading assistant, a CalSOAP and talent search representative. I taught in K-12 in Riverside County for many years, and then at the community college teaching reading. Went into teaching abroad and worked in Turkey, Italy, Germany, Mexico, back to Turkey. Have worked as a teacher, administrator, professional development provider. I can say I've had many of the roles, and in my roles, it's always with a diverse student population. It is just a background that I've worked with in my different capacities. And I have currently worked in teacher preparation. I worked at the University of Laverne for several years as an EdTPA, or CalTPA at the time, coordinator. And then when I came back from overseas, I started working at Alliant in teacher preparation again. And that was as an assessment coordinator. So I'm very familiar with the assessment systems, as well as EdTPA, TPA coordinator, and then as faculty member. And so I continue to work as well with a couple of global organizations, including Teach Now, which is now Moreland University, where we work with candidates in 150 countries. University of the People, it works with candidates from around the world in certification. And I work in particular with the International Baccalaureate in the professional development. So I really have a global perspective on education, as well as I serve in numerous committees that are specifically devoted to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could you please summarize your involvement in accreditation activities in general, and share with us any experiences you have with the Commission's accreditation system? Thanks.
Yeah, I started getting involved with the Committee on Accreditation, but accreditation activities when I started first working in higher ed and becoming involved with the CalTPA. I learned about opportunities to become a program reader. So this was in like 2007, 8, 9. Yeah, around those times, those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was involved in the capacity of being a reader and going on the Board of Accreditation visits. I went overseas and was an administrator in Turkey and working at a university in Turkey. And so I shifted and was focusing on working more in accreditation at a global level with IB authorization and school visits. And then when I returned to the States, I once again resumed as soon as I could my commitment to serving with the Commission and doing program reviews. I do it for multiple subject reading and the bilingual program, and I can also do TESOL because I have background in all of those areas. I also love being involved with the CalTPA and working with Wayne Baser. He was a mentor to me when I was a TPA coordinator, and I really learned quite a bit from him in terms of his way of sharing information and getting people excited about really dry subject. And so I continue to remain involved in wanting to serve in this capacity with accreditation. Like I mentioned, my role most recently was I was hired at Alliant for assessment, and then it transitioned to program director. And so I was involved with the assessment system and bringing on task stream, as well as helping with the data assessment system and getting that populated.
Thank you.
All right. As a member of the Committee on Accreditation, what do you think are the most important things to look for in making an accreditation decision for an institution?
I think it's so important to hear all team members' perspective and really try to hear both the details as well as the preponderance of information that's given, so that you could really try to make the best decision based on what the data tells you and what the what each of the voices that have been that come to the table have to share about the decisions and what they saw, so that they could provide us with that information to be able to make the best decision possible as a team. And I really believe in teamwork in terms of like with the IB, that was one of the most like highest quality that is really expected, to communicate, collaborate, critical thinking, be creative, and be a risk taker when needed. So I've been an IB educator, international baccalaureate educator for 20 years, and I hold their the training that I received from them very, very close to my heart. And I feel like it really has instilled a very high work ethic and high level and integrity that I expect to bring to my work, as well as expect as a committee to work towards.
Thank you.
Gotta make sure I'm unmuted. You know, no matter how long we do this, it seems like we have to, you know, play with the mute buttons. What do you see as the biggest challenges for the Commission's accreditation system in the coming few years, and how can you, if you're appointed as a member of the COA, assist the Commission in addressing these challenges?
I think there's a couple. I think that really seeing how we can work and bridge with other accreditation bodies like CAPE. I was lucky enough to work with Dr. Donna Golnick for many years and had many discussions with her about CAPE accreditation, and Teach Now, who I also work for, is CAPE accredited. So I was able to see that in place. Also, Dr. Etta Holland's my dissertation chair as part of the CAPE board. So we have conversations about national accreditation and about California and how to move forward jointly in those type of accreditations efforts. I think that really having a strong communication is important between the two bodies. And I also feel that the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion are going to become even more paramount and of importance in the role in the committee. And also efforts such as AACTE's pipelines and programs that are creating to try to diversify the teacher pipeline and the teacher workforce. I think that that's something I've been paying close attention to. I have a student doing research on it right now, and I find it really fascinating that that we're still in a place where we have so few educators of color, and especially in California, where we have majority minority. And that's something that I think that along with just innovation, I think there's some innovative techniques that we could be using. And with COVID, we've seen a shift in using technology. And I think there's a number of technologies out there. I really respect the work that's being done at Teach Now, being a forerunner in using technology and being able to bring accreditation, bring certification to students or candidates in 150 countries. And I would like to see more programs in California using some of these technologies that are available to create some innovative ways of certifying teachers. And would love to see how we could support those kind of efforts.
Great, thank you. And just one final question. Is there anything else you would like to add that you think it's important for us to consider as we are thinking about your application?
I just feel that I'm just a curious person. I really want to bring the highest quality to the work and really to serve in the way that is needed and what the needs are of the committee as a whole. So even though I have different things that I really love and I'm passionate about, I think that it ultimately is what are the needs and what does the committee as a whole think is the most important, and then that's what I'll follow.
So thank you, Dr. Arnak. Do you have any questions for the panel?
What do you see as the most pressing needs for this committee moving forward in the next year, especially with the challenges that have been over the last year and a half that you have had to face?
And I'm going to quickly just ask staff, just process-wise, time-wise, if we have, if that's something someone wants to take the time to answer now, or whether or not we have time for that. It's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Our next person is scheduled for 4:10. What time is it now? 4:08.
4:08. So does anyone want to give a nutshell, in a nutshell, answer to that question? Either staff or commissioners?
I can go here's two thoughts. The discussion of justice is sometimes talked about in terms of process and outcome. I'm really curious how we talk about whether process is enough to reach issues or outcomes as how we should be holding institutions accountable. I think it's an incredibly interesting question that I think we ought to continue to grapple with. And I think that there's huge challenges in terms of the disruption because of COVID. Everyone's talked about it. I think that's particularly salient in terms of the preparation of educators. So I think many people have been accurate about this. What comes next, and what does that mean for institutions, right, that are trying to prepare people who also have had resource constraint dynamics, and so how has that impacted them as you look forward?
Understood. I'll be thinking about the process and outcome for a while, because that's a challenging question to grapple with.
Thank you, Commissioner Wall, for providing that answer. And I think we're fairly close. Did anyone have anything else to add, or do you have any other questions for us?
Well, I don't know if it is. What is CAPE's role and working with CAPE? Is that something that is an explicit partnership, or is it something that just depends on the institutions and then that's how it comes about?
I'm happy to answer that. CAPE in California is optional. So it's up to the institution if they want to apply for either CAPE or AQUIP accreditation. The commission is sort of agnostic in terms of which regional accrediting body or which accrediting body an institution may want to partner with. We do have partnership agreements with the institution, with the accrediting bodies, so that if an institution wants to go through that and go through state accreditation, we have things that we've worked out with both organizations.
And the crosswalk that can walk them through it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Well, and thank you. And we appreciate your willingness to apply for the committee. So thank you for your time in applying and speaking with us this afternoon. Thank you.
Take care. All the best. Bye, everyone.
You too.
We have two more. Everybody need a stretch? Or are you good?
Anyone? I think, I think we're ready to.
Okay, great. I'm sure Michelle is working on it.
All right, and it looks like we have Mr. Frelly, I think, next.
Yes. Robert Frelly.
All right.
He should be on any minute. He logged in a little bit early and then logged off. So.
And he told us earlier that he was having a few connection problems, so he might have to turn off his camera during the discussion. So we told him that would be fine if he needed to do that.
That seems to be a thing of the times.
It sure does. He should be on.
There he is.
There we go.
All right, Mr. Frelly.
There I am.
All right, good afternoon. And we were.
Yes, I apologize.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You first, please.
Okay, I was gonna let you know, we did hear that you might have some technical issues, that you may need to turn off your camera while you're speaking to us for bandwidth issues, so we understand. So thank you.
All right, thank you for understanding.
All right, Mr. Frelly, thank you. And I'll get started. I'm Commissioner Bonnie Klatt, and joining me on the interview panel are Commissioners Johanna Hartwig and Andrew Wall. Thank you for applying to be a member of the COA. We are going to ask you a few questions, and at the end of the interview, you'll have a chance to ask us any questions you might have. I'm reminding all of the candidates, we have 15 minutes per interview. We have 5 questions, just to give you an idea of timing and pacing for your answers. So, okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Commissioner Wall, you have the first question.
Good afternoon. Please briefly summarize your professional experiences in education and educator preparation in California. We're interested in your teaching experiences, your work with diverse K-12 students or credential candidates, and or issues that you are especially focused on in your work.
Okay, thank you for the question. I apologize already, it's glitching, and I know it's something to do with my, so if you don't mind, I will stop the video. But please, I appreciate not being assaulted. It's just an issue. I had it all day yesterday teaching too, so hopefully this will be better. Sure, to answer the question, I've been an educator within the California school system since 1983, when I got the Ryan Single Subject Credential K-12 in music, which I don't think they have anymore. And I taught at the elementary, middle school, high school, and community college and university levels. And in many situations, they were pretty diverse communities, especially the Westminster School District and then the Garden Grove Unified School District, where I taught at Santiago High School, which is on the board of Garden Grove and Santa Ana. And I believe at the time there were more than 40 languages that were spoken at the particular school. So again, it was quite diverse, especially for its time. I'm sorry, but whoops. Sorry, back again. Sorry, it's connection again. Right now, I'm in my 27th year at Chapman University, where I serve as Director of Music Education, a position I held since I was hired there. And my job there is to coordinate activities of the music education faculty within the Conservatory of Music. I teach both undergraduate and graduate courses. I serve as the advisor and mentor to both the graduate and undergraduate music education majors, the advisor of their capstone projects for the MAT candidates. I also have been, since '93, the student teacher coordinator and supervisor. I've had some experience in curriculum design with the Bachelor of Music and Music Education, both the vocal and instrumental. We've redesigned the degree on 3 separate occasions to remain current and forward-thinking to prepare our students for guiding education in California, especially with the ever-changing and developing student population. And that included creation of and design and teaching of new courses. In addition to teaching undergrad courses, I designed, created, and teach the courses of the music component for the Masters of Arts in Teaching, the music emphasis. And then years ago, I drafted the document to address the standards of this subject matter preparation. That was 94, I think. So it was a while. Currently, we have working agreements with schools within neighboring and traditionally underserved communities with low SES. We do that for mutual benefit of our students and also our music ed majors, where we provide a variety of field experiences for the students. And also we provide free in-school and after-school music instruction. We also have the Harmony Project in Long Beach, which makes low-income families and under-resourced communities life through music. We have a dedicated recruitment plan that we target high school students in neighboring schools that connect with our DI initiative. We bring students on campus for various types of engagements, activities, workshops, such as honor band, choral music camp, college buddy mentor, shadow student. And that's all really is geared towards the underserved communities, which we definitely want to see a greater enrollment at the university and have better opportunities for them. This past year, we developed a Mariachi Ensemble. So the Mariachi is led by our newest music ed faculty member. This next year, we've designed a non-competitive ensemble festival that's designed for schools from lower SES who may not have the resources to compete in the usual traditional musical festivals. Or organize ongoing and frequent conversations with parents, students, teachers, counselors to advise students on preparedness for high school, post-high school, whether it's Chapman or elsewhere. And I think one of the questions was 2 current projects that I'm really excited about. One is the Chapman Music Teacher Institute that we now have it as official, and that's going to provide our students opportunities to get a deeper understanding of the music profession and so forth. But what we're really doing, we're also supporting the greater university community. We're providing no-cost music instruction to those in need. And we also want an opportunity for our students to understand the challenges, opportunities of teaching, tutoring, administering programs in diverse things, and in doing so, explore and reflect on the effects of diverse social, economic, cultural backgrounds on the teaching and learning processes of students. And lastly, if I may, there's a new position I have with the Department of Education, Orange County Department of Education. It's a non-paid consultant, and I love this because I get to work with the VAPA coordinator, the Visual Performing Arts, to bring awareness of opportunities for high school students to participate in and maybe build a career in the arts. And we're focusing on post-secondary institutions in Orange County. And what we're doing is we're providing information and workshops for parents, students, teachers, counselors on the inner workings of a university for them to gain familiarity with university admissions and procedures. We offer guidance, advice, and we're focusing on the lower SES communities that we recognize they may not envision college as not resources, knowledge, or confidence, but we want to be able to provide that resource. So those are some of the things that I'm really excited about doing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Frelly. This is Commissioner Hartwig. Our second question is, could you please summarize your involvement in accreditation activities in general and share with us any experiences you have with the Commission's accreditation system?
Sure. With the Commission, I've been a member of the BIR as an initial program reviewer, also a program reviewer, common standards review, and also been a site visit team member and a team lead, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then from that, I was encouraged to apply for the COA, and I've been a member for a while, and I'm currently co-chair representing higher ed. As part of the assessment and process, I also work the Cal TPA, which is part of the assessments. I was co-author of the Cal TPA program guide for program administrators. I'm a faculty member of the TPA workshops that we hold for program coordinators. And I also serve as the lead assessor and trainer for music in both cycles 1 and 2. Other parts of assessment is I was on the VEPA curriculum and framework and evaluation criteria committee. It's a mouthful that we had in 2019, with the idea was to take the standards and provide recommendations for how to implement the standards in the classroom.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. As a member of the Committee on Accreditation, what do you think are the most important things to look for in making an accreditation decision for an institution?
Great question. And we discuss this so often in our meetings. I think the most important thing that we do and that should be done is to support excellence in the educator preparation programs with the idea of contributing to the development of effective educators for California students. And in doing so, I think it's important to focus on the alignment with the standards. We need to ensure that the program is effectively preparing teachers to function in the areas for which they are licensed and credentialed. I believe it's important that look at the accreditation to be sure that the program is consistent use of professional practices, even once they've been accredited, when they come back for a review, just to be sure it's consistent. I think part of the accreditation decision is to certainly consider recommendations of staff and team reports. I think it's important within the decision to maintain open discussions. I think all voices need to be heard from both sides of the table. I believe we need to ask probing questions to seek information or clarification. And then overall consider the impact on the students within the program and just ensure it's in their best interests. So they're sufficiently prepared to meet all the ever-increasing challenges that are occurring within the educational system. And then on the back end of things and making the decision, I think part of the process is not only to render a decision, but along the way to provide constructive, actionable feedback that can assist the programs in addressing the specific stipulations.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. Next question is, what do you see as the biggest challenges for the Commission's accreditation system in the coming few years, and how can you, if you are appointed as a member of the COA, assist the Commission in addressing these challenges?
Several. I think the first and obvious one is, of course, what everybody talked about, is the changes stemming from the pandemic, right? I think it's unavoidable. We couldn't have predicted it. And while there are many downturns, I think there are some positives that I think the Commission and the COA can be aware of in the future. And that is, I think, teachers are applying more and more online technology. I know myself, I was kind of familiar with it, but I mean, now being able to communicate on 4 different platforms and just being able to work my way around the technology is certainly something that I think that I've developed. And I know that a lot of teachers have done that as well. So I see that there's going to be a requirement, or perhaps at least a need for training in the high school, and certainly as a component of undergraduate programs, of how to explore technology. And I know that's part of the TPA, but I think at this point we're going to start seeing a more deeper use of technology, and perhaps that might be one of the requirements that the Commission may want to consider when they're looking at the and maybe asking for programs to implement that in greater abundance. I think there also is going to be an increase in dual enrollment courses that's going to impact the number of students that are attending in the public schools. I think the increase in online teaching, especially teen teaching, and maybe perhaps out of the traditional school day, that's going to impact, I think, the number of students that will perhaps be receiving online, or pardon me, face-to-face instruction. I think there's going to be an overall increase in online teaching. I think you're going to see a lot of AP courses, specialty courses maybe offered on evenings and weekends, and there might be something that perhaps there's going to be a restructuring of the traditional school day, and maybe the hours are going to be different that currently is, and how that will impact the COA and the Commission remains to be seen. I think virtual academies within school districts are going to crop up even more. I'm aware of 2 right now, one Anaheim Union High School District and one Pajaro Valley Unified up in Watsonville. They have some online options, complete schools, and I think they're going to start competing with charter schools, still function within the public school system. Another issue perhaps is going to be teacher shortage. I know there currently are a shortage. I envision that even increasing. I think many teachers are starting to retire. We're starting to see increased positions being posted up on EdJoin, which we presently or previously haven't been seen. I think face-to-face, and some teachers are maybe taking early retirement, and that includes administration. And I think that some teachers will move into admin, and there'll be a lot additional openings. I think some are just leaving the program due to challenges stemming from the pandemic. And the third issue that I see as possible is there going to be a realignment in the ratio of urban to rural communities. I think there's going to be changes in demographics and henceforth the student population. I mean, if you look at some of the demographics now and the results from the pandemic, we're seeing a lot of lost jobs, a lot of lost wages. And I think the end result is there may be families who are going to move from densely populated areas in the urban environments where there are generally higher housing costs to perhaps more rural, less densely populated areas, which generally offer lower housing costs, or maybe move out of state. I think that's perhaps going to result in a reduction in student population. I think many, as parents elect to work remotely, I think the opportunities to live in areas with lower cost are also going to increase, which would change the demographics. I think the increase in homeschooling in private schools, resulting in potential decrease in funding for public schools, which I see that could be an issue down the road. And I think the question, part of the question was how I can assist the commission. Is that correct? Okay. I think being aware of situations across California, one of my newest roles kind of ties into this within the College of Performing Arts of the university. Also works with my consultant with the Orange County Department of Ed, is community liaison of sorts. I mean, my role is to really cultivate meaning relationships with the educational community for the benefit of all stakeholders. And I found that during my career in education, and I've been around for a while. I won't tell you my age. No, you're happy to know it. But I've been teaching since '83. So I've been in the profession since 1983. So I've been at this for a while. But I think I've established and maintained and continue to cultivate relationships with a lot of members of the education profession throughout the state at all levels, and not just music. And I think these interactions and conversations have helped me stay apprised of trends and developments, challenges, achievements that are occurring around the state. I think as well as share information and ideas for best practices, being in tune, intended, with state, regional, and local situations. I believe I'm able to share this information with members of the COA and the CTC and discussions for the betterment of all. Does that address your question?
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Sure. I want to be sure I address your question. Okay.
It does.
And just point of process, I think we're pretty close to the end of our time. So just a reminder for this final question. And it's
Sure.
staff, I don't know if staff has any advice on that, but I think we're pretty close.
Okay.
So if you can give us a concise answer for question 5. Thank you.
Thanks. This is Commissioner Hartwig again. I have question 5, which is your last question. And it is there anything else you'd like to add that you think would be important for us to know as we consider your application for the COA?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I'll be quick. Only that I've really enjoyed serving with my colleagues on the COA. It's an environment that's rewarding, stimulating, collaborative, thought-provoking, and I believe we really do support the creation and maintenance of excellence in education preparation programs for the benefit of all educators and for our students. And I often say at the end of all the COA meetings that I consider my involvement with the COA and the Ctc to be a true privilege and honor. And it really is true. It's one of the most enjoyable aspects of my professional activities, which is why I continue to do it. And I hope to be a part of it next session as well. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
And thank you. And clearly you have a lot of experience in education, and we appreciate that. And so I wish we had longer to be able to talk with each candidate and hear from them, their experiences. Do you have any questions for us as we wrap up?
I do not. I'm going to glitch again. Only just a question as far as when you believe the decisions will be reached, just for planning purposes.
Sure. And I think I'll repeat what Ms. Hickey said earlier in our meeting, is that this ad hoc committee will make a recommendation to the commission, and the commission will vote on Friday at its meeting.
Okay, great. And again, thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Oh, and thank you for the service you've already done for the committee and for your service in education and for taking the time to talk with us this afternoon. Thank you.
Great, truly my pleasure. Thank you all. Take care.
You too. All right, and I think that brings us to our last, Dr. Pruitt.
She's joining now.
Hey, Michelle.
Hello, I'm Dr. Pruitt. Thank you for joining us. I am Commissioner Bonnie Klatt. Joining me on the interview panel are Commissioners Johanna Hartwig and Andrew Wall. Thank you for applying to be a member of the COA. We are going to ask you a few questions, and at the end of the interview, you'll have an opportunity to ask us questions that you may have. We are limited to 15 minutes per candidate. We have 5 questions. So we just are reminding everyone to be aware of our time limitations as you answer. And so we'll get started here with Commissioner Wall.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Could you please describe, could you brief, it gets harder to read the questions as we do this a number of times. I'm just going to break from, the straight protocol because I need to do it for just a second. Okay, I'm back. I'm ready. Please briefly summarize your professional experiences in education and educator preparation in California. We're interested in your teaching experiences, your work with diverse K-12 students or credential candidates, and/or issues that you are especially focused on in your work.
All right, thank you so much. I have been in education for over 25 years. I have been a teacher. I taught in Georgia and in Texas. I taught English and science. I also have a TESOL endorsement. I have taught in a variety of settings, including low socioeconomic settings, a setting with high military students, also with displaced communities. I was part of a school who took in Hurricane Katrina students. I also served a high population of Hispanic and Hmong students, so much so that I went back and received my TESOL endorsement in order to better meet the needs of my students. In higher education, I was a part of a Hispanic and American Indian serving institution in Colorado and in New Mexico. In New Mexico, I led an educator preparation program and partnerships serving 22 tribes and pueblos, including the Navajo Nation. In Sacramento, I was the director of Fortune School of Education, where I led the IIA accreditation. I started at Alliant in 2019 as the assistant dean, and within 5 months moved into interim, and about 5 months later became the dean for the California School of Education, where I have been leading efforts there. We do general education, specific education, multiple subject, single subject, education specialists, early completion option, PPS, counseling, school psychology, bilingual authorization, ASC, just a lot of programs that I oversee there. My research specifically focuses on Indigenous education, data-driven instruction, teachers' perceptions of school culture, on student achievement, and communities of practice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our second question is, could you please summarize your involvement in accreditation activities in general and share with us any experiences you have with the Commission's accreditation system?
Yes, yes. So in general, my accreditation experience includes extensive work with institutional effectiveness, teacher preparation, and accreditation, including all aspects of approval at the local or state level, regional level, and national level. I've worked with NCATE, CAPE, the Colorado Department of Education, CTC, BPPE, Arizona Department of Education, New Mexico Department of Education, and WASC. And by the way, I did write my notes, if you see me looking down, only to make sure I stayed. I knew it was such a short time frame, but if you want me to look away, I'll look away, but I'm just trying to really keep myself focused. In California, I have led the state accreditation efforts for teacher education. Currently, again, many programs with the commission. I have trained and served as a BIR member, also an IPR member. I served as a member of the Professional Learning Teams, PLT, with the Cal APA Administration Pilot Survey. As a BIR member, I have been involved in the IIA. I served as coordinator with the Learning Management Team and for the Cal APA Pilot Survey, which was in 2017. I've been a Cal TPA lead assessor and I've been a Cal TPA coordinator and a Cal APA coordinator. I did the Cal TPA assessor training in 2016, but then went back through with Pearson in 2018 when it was adopted by Pearson. As dean since 2019, I have led the accreditation efforts to submit under the Blue Cohort, which was approved. All the programs were approved, and it include 8 submissions, actually 9 submissions, and 29 being 9 programs, not that it took us 9 times. In 2020, while I was serving as dean of the university, we were reviewed and by the accrediting body WASC, and we received successful recommendations of 8 years. I recently attended the CAPE On workshop, which was about 2 weeks ago, and have had a follow-up with CAPE members and plan to have our CAPE application submitted by the end of the week. So that's a snapshot of my accreditation.
Thank you. As a member of the Committee on Accreditation, what do you think are the most important things to look for in making an accreditation decision for an institution?
All of the above, everything, but I will be a little more specific. So it's looking at the preconditions, the common standards, the program standards, and how they are aligned with the program, all of those programs with the state standards and the requirements, to confirm that programs are aligned to the standards with appropriate tools for measuring the knowledge and the skills and the abilities of their candidates, to use the matrices that are provided by the state to check for the I, the P, the A of the standards, to ensure that evidence and rationales correlate to support standards and that the appropriate vetting is occurring, because you want to validate the data collection. You want, and the program changes, to make sure that the program changes have a proper rationale. You want to document the program changes that are occurring to support success, and you want to make sure that they're vetting these processes through advisory committees, et cetera.
Shifting gears only slightly.
Okay.
What do you see as the biggest challenges for the Commission's accreditation system in the coming years? And how can you, if you're appointed as a member of the COA, assist the Commission in addressing these challenges?
That was a very great question to ask, and I'm very happy to answer it. I believe the changes brought on by the pandemic are certainly going to be one of the biggest challenges for the Commission. I believe transitioning from the executive order in August will also present a little bit of a challenge, but not necessarily in a negative way. I'm very excited actually about the direction that education is going. I believe this is a time for the Commission on Accreditation to look carefully at Common Standard 2, Program Standard 5B, also Standard 6. I believe how we support the educator preparation programs and candidates is going to need to be carefully looked at, even more so. The Commission always does an amazing job of just really being there and making sure that all aspects are supported. But I think this is a time that we can have innovative conversations. and that because we're not just preparing effective candidates, we're also building resilient candidates at this point. That we have opportunities to balance, I believe, transparency with accountability, making sure that these authentic experiences have appropriate rationales to back them up. I believe this is an opportunity to talk about community-based partnerships, to maybe have varied experiences beyond the K-12 classroom. Also, just other opportunities such as video simulations, innovative measures of performance, potentially talk about mock classroom experiences and how they can become something that we consider. Also, alternative ways of just measuring knowledge and practice. And so I would love to be part of these collaborative conversations and just, not only learn more about just what everyone with the commission does and what you do with the accreditation, being a commission on accreditation, but also just being a part of these conversations. I believe there's so much potential with where we have landed on the other side of this pandemic, and I'd like to be a part of that process. As far as, what else could I contribute? Just if I look within my own Department of Education, I've been a part of the COVID-19 response team. I've worked with many leaders and really facilitated my team through coming out really great on the other side. We partnered with the video management system to make sure candidates were getting simulating teaching video simulations or simulated teaching. We modified our tools to document various types of instruction, including remote instruction, modifying lesson plans, log sheets, having a FAQ, creating a hub so that people can go and learn have the newest information coming from the commission as well as from the executive orders. Opened up office hours for clinical practice and credentialing department, created a newsletter for our partners. We've done so much. We took the opportunity and really tried to elevate the experiences that our students were getting, but also taking into consideration the mental health of our students. We integrated a platform that is known for mental health assistance, as well as incorporated or integrated a suicide prevention plan within our curriculum. So I think I would love to be part of just that those collaborative conversations that just lead to promoting education. I am such an advocate for educators and just have committed a long time ago, and I'm still very committed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Our final question is there anything else that you would like to add that you think we should consider while we're thinking about your candidacy? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So I think just knowing a little, I would like for you to know a little bit about me and how I work with others, and to understand a little bit about why I would apply for this opportunity to work and learn. I believe I've been fortunate to be a part of several universities in several states now that have been going through accreditation right when I start, and it has been fantastic, and it has become such a passion. And I see the opportunity that comes with accreditation and the process of accreditation, and just really looking at compliance and making sure that your system is as squeaky clean as it can be, and also as productive as it can be for not only your institution but for students. And so this is genuinely a passion of mine. I know we talk about passion of teaching, and I certainly love teaching and would go back tomorrow if I needed to, but I really enjoy this side of it as well, making sure that our teachers are prepared as they can be, and that starts with the program. At one point, I didn't think I wanted to be that far away from teaching, but I understand that this is a very important part of that teaching process and the effectiveness of it. And so I've been doing this for quite a while and had that opportunity to grow, to just love this process. I also very much believe in collegiality. Believe is not the right word, but my research and my dissertation, my research, and just the way that I am as a leader, I believe that collegiality and professional collaboration is the key to a positive climate and to a positive atmosphere and to a successful atmosphere. And my research certainly shows that a correlation between that positive, that collegiality, that collaboration, and success. There's certainly a correlation there. So I would certainly be a team player and would love that collaboration. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Pruitt, do you have any questions for the panel?
No, I really don't. I feel that I feel that I spend a lot of time on CTC. I'll see you guys this week at the coming up meeting. I have spent a lot of time with some of you more than others. So I really don't have any questions. I do my research, but thank you for that opportunity.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your willingness to apply for this position and for your time this afternoon in speaking with us. We really appreciate it. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all very much for your time. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So I want to thank all of the applicants. We are grateful to you for your willingness to serve on the committee on accreditation. So commissioners, let's discuss first the IHE applicants. And so I think we had 4 IHE applicants, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can select 2. So we're going to first move, I think, or try to have a motion to recommend 2. And then I think after that motion is finished, we can discuss potential alternates, correct? Okay. So commissioners, thoughts, questions, discussion?
Are we now private?
I don't believe so. I think we deliberate publicly.
Yes, that's
So,
correct.
okay, I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah. And may I just ask a question about that? So this recording is also made to the public, just like all the other recordings are.
Yes, it is.
And are we live now, actually? Is it streaming like it would a regular meeting, I think?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Well, I thought we actually had 4 really capable, well-informed, dedicated applicants that we heard from. Impressive, actually. And selecting 2 out of the 4, I think that we have 4 people who would do a really good job. They each showed, depth of experience as well as value commitments that I think are aligned with the commission's work. They seem to have knowledge of the systems. So I would comment only that we're now parceling out between qualified applicants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right? I mean, I would just make that point. I was particularly impressed with Dr. Pruitt's specificity of answers in the last interview, not to give, just because it's the most recent. I also felt that the first person, Dr. Taylor, also gave really in-depth and complete responses. But I mean, we're talking a matter of degrees here in terms of, because I think that everyone showed a depth of knowledge and understanding. So those are my beginning remarks.
I would echo Commissioner Wall's comments. I was very impressed with the level of experience and the breadth of experience of all 4 candidates, and think that they would all do an excellent job. And I will certainly be recommending that whichever 2 are not selected become alternates. I also thought that Dr. Pruitt really demonstrated her commitment to this work and was extremely articulate about the value of the specifically of the work of accreditation and an extremely deep understanding of the accreditation processes. And I did also appreciate and am considering the value that she might bring to the committee from her experience in multiple non-California jurisdictions that I think can broaden perspective. So I also definitely support her candidacy. I will say that I am weighing between, that it's difficult to choose two, that I was weighing between Dr. Frelly and Dr. Taylor. I appreciated, particularly, I think, from Dr. Taylor, his real clarity he showed in his description of the priorities for the accreditation decision-making process, and his focus on excellence and also continuity of commitment to the alignment with standards and pursuing excellence in the organization. I really appreciated that, as well as his other comments. Dr. Frelly, I want to appreciate that he does have very significant experience on the commission and has been selected to be a co-head of the commission, which I think is of the committee, which I think I think it's okay to infer from that he is highly respected by the other members. I do also very much like that he comes from the perspective of a music professor, which is not probably that common of a perspective. And I liked the details he gave about the many ways in which his own institution and he himself have been trying to provide accessibility to music education and secondary education, and to diversify the pipeline of students both in the music program and also in teaching. So so I'm gonna, maybe we can hear from Commissioner Klatt her perspective, and then I can give a few more comments since I found that both of those candidates were very strong. I know that one of the things that we're thinking about is also we're weighing these different factors that we're supposed to think about in terms of balance on the COA. We do not have many candidates that can rectify the geographic imbalance in these selections. So I'm just bringing that up. I mean, are some, let's see, we have Dr. Taylor is from San Luis Obispo, so that's a little bit further up, but I'm just wanted to recognize that. And also to recognize that we are thinking about some gender balance. So that might be something that we are also considering here, although I do sort of reiterate my support that I think Dr. Pruitt would be a wonderful addition. And I just also want to emphasize again that I was also extremely impressed by Dr. Arnak. I think she has an incredibly broad experience that again would endow some wonderful perspective to the COA. And so I certainly would want to support her as being an alternate. Her global vision and her her understanding of data, I think would be a great value.
So echoing that we have, I think, 4 very well qualified candidates here. I think a commonality I heard that I can echo was in support of Dr. Taylor. It sounds like all 3 of us had him as one of our 2 candidates that we were kind of putting up there. So maybe that's one point, since we have two that we can agree on, and maybe kind of then move forward to the other selections. And I will say I'm very torn between Mr. Frelly and Dr. Pruitt. I think, and so I'm kind of right in the middle between the two of you. I can see really positive, all four I think would bring really positive contributions. And so kind of weighing, I think Mr. Frelly, like you said, has been serving. And to me, that idea of continuity, I think seems really important. And as I think it was actually Dr. Taylor who mentioned that, it takes a while just to kind of figure, just like we've experienced, I think, being on the commission, that there's a bit of a learning curve. And so I think the fact that the two of them have already served, and so really can continue, keep that continuity going, makes me probably lean, but only very, very slightly towards Mr. Frelly. I was very impressed also with Dr. Pruitt, though, and so it makes it a bit of a tough call. And with the geographic balance, I think it was unclear to me where she currently is, but it sounded like she has worked in Sacramento. So I thought, well, at least there's some Northern California experience there to help balance that. So are we all agreed with Dr. Taylor as one of them, I think? And I know that wasn't a motion yet or anything, but just to kind of keep us going. So thoughts then about narrowing down our other selection.
I mean, I'm in agreement. I think that I threw out two initial names to get us started, I think. But again, they're all strong. I mean, Dr. Arnak has a wonderful global perspective, so I don't want that to be lost. I would be completely comfortable with either Dr. Frelly or Dr. Pruitt as a second. I think you're right. It is experience. Right. There's a lot of experience that Dr. Frelly brings. It's very clear. It was very well articulated. And, absolutely the perspective of music education is, that's a valuable, different disciplinary perspective than we heard from others. I would concur with all those points and be really comfortable with that. And also comfortable with the others being alternates. And it sounds like alternates have been necessary. And so, I think that's an important point that, just because you're an alternate doesn't mean you're ultimately not going to have an opportunity to serve. So I don't know if that moved us forward, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, the alternates have definitely been important as people, Jose Luis Alvarado assumed the provost position at Cal State LA. That opened up. He knew he couldn't devote the time that he needed to. So those kinds of things happen.
And I'm just looking at it looks like at least next year, Dr. Cresia's term ends in June. So there will be another opening, I would imagine, for reapplication at that point as well.
Yes, April.
Right. Okay. So, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Wall, could you just say that again? Did you say that you were supporting moving forward with Dr. Frelly?
Yeah, I would be supportive of moving forward with Dr. Frelly. Yes, I would.
I would also support that. Again, I think it is a very tough call. I think we are, we're cursed with the bounty of generosity, and my sincere hope, and I really believe this, is that both Dr. Pruitt and Dr. Arnak will, continue to serve in different ways and will, as they get, if they're very interested in this, will throw their hat in the ring again, in the future. But I do think that Dr. Frelly's experience of being on the committee for a number of years and through this pandemic experience could be very helpful for providing continuity moving forward and leadership on the committee moving forward.
Was that a motion, Commissioner Hartwig?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, I would move that we select Dr. Taylor and Dr. Frelly.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Hartwig to recommend Dr. Taylor and Dr. Frelly. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, I have a second by Commissioner Wall. Any further discussion? And I guess as part of further discussion, I will say, well, I'll save that. We're about to talk about alternates. I will save my discussion for the alternates.
Okay, so do I need to
discussion on this?
Can we move now to about the alternates?
Well,
Should we
do we need?
Oh, we need to vote, right?
I think maybe if we vote on this motion and then we move to alternates.
Yes, thank you.
So any further discussion on this first motion? All right, will the recording secretary call for the vote? Oh, each member should please respond with aye or nay.
Johanna Hartwig,
Aye.
Bonnie Clapp,
Aye.
Andrew Wall.
Aye.
Motion
All right,
carries.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Commissioners, we may also recommend, if appropriate, the appointment of individuals to serve on the alternate pool from which the executive director could choose to appoint should a vacancy occur on the COA. And it sounds like we're all in agreement here, I think, but do I have a motion to appoint any individuals interviewed to the alternate pool?
I would move
Yes.
to appoint Dr. Arnick and Dr. Pruitt to the alternate pool.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Wall to recommend Dr. Pruitt and Dr. Arnack to the alternate pool. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, I have a second by Commissioner Hartwig. Any further discussion? And I guess this is what I was going to say earlier is, again, I wanted to echo just what was said before about these candidates, that I really do hope that they have the opportunity to serve, or that they will continue to apply again, because I think, as has been said, they both can offer some unique perspectives and expert experience to the committee. So any other further discussion?
Yeah, and I would just add in that, Commissioner Klatt, I would appreciate when you make our recommendation in the meeting on Friday that you emphasize that point.
Agreed.
Yes. I did actually just have an informational question for our staff. If you're appointed as an alternate, for how many years is that or not appointed as an alternate, but if you're put in the alternate pool, how long does that last for?
You finish out the term for the person that is leaving the office. So if the person leaves within the first year, they have 3 more years that they finished out. So
Right.
yeah, so that's essentially how it works.
Oh, but so I understand that if you're pulled from the alternate pool and you are
Yes.
covering.
You're filling an unexpected vacancy. Somebody has to give up their position. So they finish that term.
Right. What I was interested in, because I'm looking at the list of who's in the current alternates.
Mm-hmm.
There it says availability for appointment ends blank, June
Right.
2023, or how does that work? Are you put in the alternate pool for a certain number of years or something?
Yes, I believe that's 4 years as well. I'm trying to remember right off the top of my head, but yes, I believe it's 4 years.
And then may I ask just one other question about this, which is, how do you select which candidate from the alternate pool is going to fill an opening?
So this, and Aaron, you can jump in too. So this is a decision the executive director makes, but this is where the director would consider the balance, especially. So if we're losing our only UC rep and we have a UC option as an alternate, that might be something that might be strongly considered. Or, a K-12 rep from the only Northern California district. We might see if we have somebody that fits kind of those. So it's really trying to maintain some sort of balance. And if all things are equal, then, it's the director's choice to pick who they think is the best candidate.
Great. Okay. Thank you. I am going to add well, let's see. Maybe we should wrap up. Did we vote yet on our alternate? Okay.
Sounds like perhaps we're ready. Okay. So will the recording secretary call for the vote?
Johanna Harwick,
Aye.
Bonnie Clark,
Aye.
Andrew Wall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.
I did want to add for the record, I'm sorry, I did have one other comment about Dr. Taylor that I wanted to make sure it was on the record, which is, I do think it is quite important that he is a representative of the CSU, which is such a large system, and it would be a significant gap in our coverage from the committee if we had no representative of the CSU system.
Mhm.
Right. And thank you for making that point and putting that in the record. So we have also a decision about the K-12 finalists. So we had the two candidates, Dr. Murray and Mr. Lee. We can choose one. And again, my understanding is that we also have the option of making the other candidate, if we so desire, an alternate. So discussion. And I will just say, to get it started, oh my gosh, I wish we could appoint two. This is, I think, going to be a really difficult decision. But if someone wants to jump in.
I mean, I completely agree. I felt like you have two individuals who have deep commitment to education. They have knowledge of the accreditation system. They have been located in different parts of the system. In different roles that are important and show depth of understanding. And they both express passion, right, for the work and commitment to the work. And so I think either one would be fantastic. And I don't envy our choice here to have to pick one. And I think just to say that right off the bat, to me, I think representation here does matter, right? We have just selected two men. While I can't visually determine all background dimensions, I think that we should be conscious of selecting three men, and that's coming from the man on the group. So I think that, there is some gender imbalance in their direction, but I think that's something to think about as we go forward. But wow, there's my initial thoughts.
I would, or Commissioner Clapp, did you want to go next?
No, sorry, I just had an itch.
That was me, sorry.
I would, I totally echo what Commissioner Wall says. Two excellent candidates, and I would love to be able to recommend both of them. That said, I think that I would put forward Dr. Murray. I think the perspective that she has from her long work really focused on underserved communities, underserved students within a very diverse community is very valuable. And that her, as Commissioner Wall said, she has a great understanding of the accreditation process, and I liked her articulation of the priorities that she thinks there should be in the accreditation decisions. We are looking at representation of multiple different factors, and I do think that that is important. As she herself, as an individual, represents a minority community within the state, and that is part of our mandate that we are told we should be looking at. So I think that is appropriate to look at. But again, this is a very tough call, both because I was extremely impressed, very impressed by recently made Dr. Lee, it sounds like. very impressed with him, very impressed with his clear commitment to education and to improving education. And I would love to have that Northern California perspective there. But all in all, I would support Dr. Murray.
Can I offer something? Because I know you're making such a difficult decision here, as you have been with all of these individuals. As you're considering balance, do you need, would you like any information on sort of what the balance is right now on the COA, or do you feel like we've given you enough information on that?
I would like that balance. Yeah, I would like any other information that you can provide us. Thank you for offering.
Currently, of the individuals that are serving on the COA, let's see, only three are male and 6 are female. So in that particular sense, as far as gender goes, that's where we are with that. We are.
Erin, does that mean if we've just appointed 2, that becomes 5?
Yes.
Okay. Or we recommended?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think you have the Northern California to Southern California pretty accurate. We are, of the 9 remaining COA members right now, 8 are from Southern California. So not a lot of Northern California representation. We do currently have 3 women of color serving across the COA.
Could you give more information about that? I know that on the applications, folks are asked but not required to self-identify their ethnic background.
They aren't, and just in being sensitive to this, I don't know where I stand in identifying someone else.
No, I'm not asking.
Okay.
More that in the applications that we saw, there is a portion for self-identification. So I didn't know if that was part of the information that you have about
on the other appointees. Yes, so they do indicate on their applications. So we have, let's see, Kathy Krisha in the post-secondary is a woman of color, and Cynthia Amos in the K-12. These are current members, is also a woman of color. And Jomeline Balatayo. So two in the K-12 and 1 in our post-secondary.
Thanks. That's all very helpful, and I appreciate that, since that is what we are supposed to be considering. I appreciate your offering the information.
You're welcome.
And
so again, my recommendation is a very close call, and I'd be very happy to continue to discuss it after we hear the input from Commissioner Klatt.
Well, and this is really like one of being on some of these ad hoc committees. I don't think I've ever had a harder decision than between these 2 candidates. It really is difficult. I've been kind of looking at the list of who's currently serving, and I am feeling sensitive about the Northern California, Southern California. We have a lot of members, I think, right now that come from the Los Angeles area. Long Beach, we have someone from Long Beach, Los Angeles, Culver City. Let me see some of these others. I'm just kind of looking through.
San Diego.
Chapman's
in Orange County.
Right. And as someone who has lived in Northern California her whole life, I think it's easy, I think, for they're two very different parts of the state with very different needs. And so I do have a concern that right now we lack some balance there. And I was even trying to see, well, like Central California, at least, so, sometimes Southern California, it inches up, and but we're really weighted really heavily in that southern part of the state right now. But with that said, again, I think both I really appreciated that Dr. Murray's experience. I mean, that she has, it seems like, served almost every position, working her way through, starting as an instructional assistant. And I really appreciated that. And the experience she already has, again, the passion people have spoken of. And again, I saw that in both candidates. Both candidates seemed committed to equity work in very different ways. I think Sonoma County represents a part of the country, kind of the central part of the country, or the state, that maybe doesn't have much representation on some of our committees. So there's that. I'm torn. So I'm not helping.
It's hard.
We can rotate back. I don't know, Commissioner Wall, do we kind of maybe are rotating our way back to you? Have you started feeling one way or the other, more strongly, less strongly?
I'm torn, but I'm not trying to be wishy-washy. I think the point about regional representation is a really important point. I do, and I think there's a reason for that to sway us. If there really is what you're describing, is there's one person from Northern California, and both these people are very qualified. And while I really do, I'm very conscious of having another person who has a diverse background, and we've appointed recommending two men, but there is a real point to this regional representation in California, and I think it's an important point as we think about accreditation. Actually, I mean, I think it's really important to have people who understand the dynamics of different parts of the state. So with that, I mean, I would forward a recommendation that we recommend, and maybe I'm making a motion even, Dr. Leah, and that we also recommend Dr. Oh my gosh, I'm losing
Murray.
Murray
long
as an alternate.
I would second that. And as I sort of review again the terms of the current members and when people are going to term out and so on, I take Commissioner Klatt's and Commissioner Wall's points about geographic representation to heart, because it would be quite a while before we would have an opportunity to bring in another perspective from Northern California. It won't be for at least another year until there is another opening on the committee. And so again, a very close call between the two of them, but I've considered the weightiness of the we're not just looking for balance here, we're actually really very, very out of balance in terms of this factor. And that is significant to me. We need to start making some headway towards some more balance there.
So it sounds like I may have a motion by Commissioner Wall to recommend Mr. Leah. Do I have a second? Was that a second?
I will second that. Thank you.
Okay, I have a second from Commissioner Hartwig. Any further discussion? All right, will the recording secretary please call for the vote?
Johanna Hartwig,
Aye.
Bonnie Clark,
Aye.
Andrew Wall. Motion carries.
And I feel like it sounds like we don't need much discussion for this second one. That it sounds like we all very wholeheartedly would support the recommendation. Although I think I need a motion. So do I have a motion to appoint?
I would move that we select Dr. Murray as an alternate.
And do I have a
I
second?
would second. Yes.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion by Commissioner Hartwig to recommend Dr. Murray to the alternate pool. I have a second by Commissioner Wall. Further discussion. All right, will the recording secretary please call for the vote?
Johanna Howick,
Aye.
Bonnie Clark,
Aye.
Andrew Wall.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.
Sorry.
And I think, thank you. And in presenting this, I will do my best and welcome both of you to chime in, just how difficult a decision it was and how really qualified both of these candidates are. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Our recommendations will be presented to the full commission during item 21 on Friday, at which time the commission will vote on whether to appoint those individuals we have recommended. Having no further business, I now adjourn the April 2021 meeting of the ad hoc committee.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
thank you, Cheryl and Aaron
Thank you.
and Michelle and Andrew and Rhonda.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a
See
good
you all.
evening.
Thank you.
See you all
See you
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
See you soon.
Tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.